Nothing we say is investment advice. Please pause on all 3 pages of this disclaimer and read it. Greetings, Algo artisans. We're going to take a look at the charts for the weekly market forecast. It's going to be a quick and dirty forecast because we got a lot of news that's going to affect the charts. We're going to take a look at Bitcoin, Solana, EURUSD, GBPUSD, USDJPY, USDCAD, GBPJPY, AUDJPY, AUDUSD, USDCHF. We're going to take a look at SP500 Futures, Dow Futures, NASDAQ Futures, Gold and Silver Futures, and we're going to take a look at the economic data right now. So here we are on Forex Factory, and we're going to take a look at what kind of economic data is going to come out, because this kind of data can affect the charts. It can affect how trading happens. Monday morning at 8:30 AM EST, core retail sales coming out and retail sales. So that can affect USD and the general markets across the board. We have Tuesday morning, 8:30 AM, Canadian CPIs coming out. So if you are trading the loonie, aka the Canadian dollar, that can be pretty volatile at that time. Also, big thing on Tuesday, you have the Bank of Japan policy rate, and that's going to come out at any time on Tuesday. They don't tell you when it's going to happen, and it might not even happen till Wednesday. They don't really give you a time, and that makes trading the JPY pairs really tricky. So you're going to notice that on the forecast this week. Not much of a forecast for the pairs. I'll tell you what the charts say, and that's going to be about it. Now, Wednesday is a big day, and this is at 2 p.m. EST. You got the federal funds rate, FOMC, the statement, press conference, all that happens, and that could really affect a lot of things. There's been a lot of talk about a possible rate cut scenario. I'm not sure we're going to see one. Nobody knows anything. But with the market being what it is, a lot of people certainly want to see the rates go down. And if the rates do go down, markets may go up. It might be a big surprise. So this is why I probably won't be trading very much outside of some scalps up until this is done. Wednesday is the big day. And on the charts, you'll see the dotted line. That's where a lot of my forecast end. Tuesday for JPY pairs, Wednesday for everything else. Now we do have a New Zealand dollar GDP coming out and Aussie dollar unemployment change, and that's happening for the Aussies at 8:30 p.m. EST. Thursday, GBP, we have some unemployment data coming out, and that's right at the European Open. And then 4:30 a.m. EST, we have Swiss National Bank monetary policy and press conference coming. So if you're trading the Swissy, that can affect that. And at 8 a.m. EST, we have the British pound monetary policy data coming out. And then we have 8:30 a.m. more info from the Brits. Governor Bailey's going to speak. We have the unemployment claims coming out for USD. And then at 12:50 p.m. EST, Bank of Canada Governor Macklem speaks. So a lot of volatility across a lot of pairs on Thursday and Wednesday. And it's just a kind of a wild week. I probably wouldn't be doing anything outside of scalping, and maybe right after this kind of news comes out. And then Friday we have at 8:30 a.m. Canadian retail sales coming out. So let's jump into the charts. We'll take a look at Bitcoin first. Okay, so we got Bitcoin here. I think just kind of a slight up. You might have a surprise pop up. There's been a couple of really large shorts put on, and that might cause price to run up and grab those for a short squeeze. So we might see price kind of pop up. Outside of that, I just expect some kind of mildly bullish movement, or even a little bit more bullish than that. We'll see how that goes. It's kind of a wild market right now, and like I always say, in the Trump era, anything can happen. These forecasts could be blown right out of the water with some kind of news, so just be real careful trading. But I do expect bullishness, whether it be mild or even a little bit stronger. Once the bullishness is done, I think Bitcoin needs to head down. Now, I don't think it's going to happen until maybe later this week or perhaps next week, but I do think Bitcoin does still need to head down and get some liquidity below 80K. And as time wears on, I'll have a better idea about that. So that's why I do have these down arrows, because I do think that's going to happen, just not before Wednesday, which is what that dotted line means right there. Let's take a look at Solana. Solana, some mild bullishness. Of course, it could pop up a little bit stronger. That's going to have a lot to do with Bitcoin and what happens with that. Let's go ahead and move over to the Euro. EURUSD, mild bullishness up until Wednesday. We could see it pop up a little more strong, but I just expect kind of a climb upwards into the FOMC on Wednesday, maybe a top out at about $1.10. Let's take a look at the cable. Same thing as the euro, just mild bullishness, but a possible snap upwards. See how that all goes. Things might stay really calm up until the FOMC on Wednesday. That's going to be kind of across the board. Let's take a look at USDJPY. Now, all the JPY pairs you'll see, I have it marked on Tuesday for the BOJ policy rate, and I think we're just going to see mild bullishness for almost all those pairs until then. So USDJPY would look like that, and USDCAD. is the next pair we'll look at, and I expect to see just a little bit of bearishness, but mostly sideways. So maybe some lower highs and maybe bouncing off of support around about 143.54 or so. Let's take a look at the beast, GBPJPY. Mild bullishness until Tuesday for the BOJ rate. The highest I would really expect is 192.81 unless we get a bit of a surprise move upwards. Let's take a look at AUDJPY. Same kind of story, mild bullishness up until the BOJ policy rate. The highest I would expect it to go would be maybe 94.71 yen to the Aussie. Let's take a look at AUDUSD. I'm expecting some higher lows up until price breaks round about 63.32 cents. So I think it's going to reject downside, but each time it rejects, I think you're going to get higher lows up until price breaks that. But I think the highest we're going to see prior to FOMC is 63.64, and it might not even go that high. Let's take a look at the Swissy. USDCHF, I expect price to kind of slowly just climb up to FOMC unless we have a really big surprise. Remember, we do have the Swiss National Bank data coming out too, so this really could have some behavior that's a little unexpected as well. And that really just kind of depends on what goes on with that announcement. Let's take a look at SP500 Futures. I expect a lot of sideways. I think the overall picture is still pretty bearish, but there is a possible move up, and we do have to really be careful of FOMC on Wednesday, so I'm only projecting basically sideways, maybe a little bit of down, maybe a little bit of up until Wednesday, and all the indices will look mostly like that. Take a look over at the Dow. Dow Futures here, same kind of thing, sideways into Wednesday, more or less, maybe up, maybe down. Take a look at NASDAQ. And again, same thing, sideways, up or down, but there is a little bit of a chance of a pop up with the NASDAQ. It's a little bit more volatile and it's been really, really compressed. So I wouldn't be surprised to see just a little pop up at the most up to 20,310. And this really could happen with any of these indices. And again, this is Trump era. Some surprise news can knock any of these estimations out to where they don't matter anymore. So just understand that this is how things are going based on no surprises, right? Let's take a look at gold. So gold, I think, is going to retrace a bit. Strong move up, and I think it's going to come down a bit. I think it might get held up, but it really depends on really geopolitical events. So gold, I think, is going to come back down to grab liquidity, and I think it could go as low as 29.56, which really is all the way down to about here. We could see it drop back down there to grab some liquidity, but again, like everything else, outside of some kind of surprise, I expect slow movement up until Wednesday. We'll see how that goes. Let's take a look at silver. Silver, same kind of thing. If it were to dive down to grab liquidity, the lowest I would expect would be maybe 33.40 or possibly down to about 33.20. But all in all, I expect sideways, maybe a slight pop up, really sensitive to the geopolitical landscape. Thanks for watching. Come on over to algofactory.tech. We teach people how to predict where price goes. We teach people how to extract money from the markets, and we're very good at doing so. And if you come on over to algofactory.tech, we would love to teach you how to develop your own trading system. Something that is going to allow you to have complete confidence in what you're doing, and that is more important than anything in trading. I know that doesn't make a lot of sense to a non-trader, but when you have confidence in what you're doing, that is a really good probability of success. One of the primary failure points is where people's trading psychology is not on point. And the dirty little secret that we have at Algo Factory is that when you develop your own method, that's how you get that confidence. So come on over to algofactory.tech. Learn how to trade like a hedge fund pro, and we will see you Tuesday morning, bright and early, 8:30 AM EST. Thanks again.